Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we've got the Silver Division of Coalition League's Summer Split Semifinals on for your viewing pleasure. I'm Random Minion Caster, and for our first set of best of fives today, we've got Rawr Yordlez facing off against Glacial Academy. Now, Rawr Yordle is the #1 seed, and they have selected Glacial Academy, currently sitting at 4th after the regular season as their semi-final opponents here. And on the blue side, it's going to be Rawr Yordles with Mad Jack 20 in that top lane. I Never Fuiz in the jungle, Duero in the mid lane, Fang Roy as the ADC, and Winter 07 as support. On the red side, it's going to be Glacial Academy here with King Tyrus in that top lane, Pirer in the jungle, Ronin XX32 in the mid lane, Mazir lane as ADC, and Dobby 007 as support. And now with both of these teams, they have a fairly kind of similar playstyle. Rawr Yordles tends to play whatever they want in terms of their picks here, their compositions. Glacial Academy has sort of been experimenting around. They did try playing sort of lane-centric compositions for a while, and then they seem to have settled a bit more on the sort of AoE teamfight compositions. We'll have to see what they opt into here in this best of 5. And without further ado, we're going to hop straight into the picks and bans here. So for Rawr Yordles on the blue side, they're going to ban out the Diana, Mordekaiser, Fizz, Olaf, and Yasuo here. A lot of that aimed more at Ronin XX32 in that mid lane, who's been the mainstay of Glacial Academy. And for Glacial Academy, they're banning out the Orianna, Morgana, Zac, Malzahar, and Volbear. So that missing ban is an Orianna ban here against Duero. In terms of picks, Rawr Yordles going again with that set Aphelios, Braum, Nunu, and that's not a Nami, that's Veigar here for that mid lane. Glacial Academy going with a more team-centric AoE fighting composition with Ornn, Caitlyn, Leona, Amumu, and Syndra here. And if we take a quick look around at these compositions, Rawr Yordles going with a bit more of a mixed standard composition. They've got a really solid front line. The Braum there for the PO I Never Fuiz on that Nunu, giving them great initiate with that snowball. And Mad Jack on that set will give them access to that back line as well as a huge flank threat. And of course, you've got Duero on his Veigar, which he's played quite a bit this split here, giving them really good late game skilling as well as actually mid game threat here. Duero often not content to just skill up with that Veigar, does tend to make very proactive plays, look for picks and get so that burst before the fight even starts proper. Fangre on that Aphelios as well, a champion that he's played quite a bit of and dominated really with in the late game as well. Very good late game insurance with them. Glacial Academy on the other hand, these are very, very familiar picks for these players. King Tyrus once more on that Ornn. Pretty much that is his go-to top lane champion here. And he's not expected to win his lane, but he does always bring lots of pressure and lots of CC to the mid-game teamfights as well as those Ornn upgrades in the late game as well. Pereira once more on the Amumu, and I have some reservations about this pick here. It works great for their composition, but it does leave Pereira having a very exposed early game here, and we have seen him punished on the Amumu early, and he doesn't get to scale into the mid-game where he really gets to shine. And to alleviate that, I guess that's why they drafted the Syndra here for Ronin in the mid lane. Will give them a bit more strength in the early game to potentially make up for that rough jungle start for Pereira. And this bot lane, Mazir lane, and Dobby 007, Glacial Academy has a chance to take it, to take the series. It will be based off Ronin and Mazir here, the main carries of the team. So Mazir drafting himself that Caitlyn. I actually really like that pick into the Aphelios. Aphelios potentially often considered the #1 ADC in the current meta right now. Just the sheer utility he brings, despite the nerfs, is still extremely, extremely strong. And it sounds like there are more nerfs planned for the future for Aphelios as well. But Caitlyn able to really take advantage of the range advantage against Aphelios to poke him down. So I'm liking that pick. Hopefully Mazir lane can look to get some leads early in his lane here and continue dominating from there. And the supports though, Leona into Braum's a little iffy there. Leona, great engage. Yes, you want to get onto the Aphelios there. Try and punish the less mobile pick. But at the same time, against the Braum, it's going to be very, very difficult. Braum, one of the best disengaged supports in the game here. And with that, we are going to hop right into the Rift here as both teams have loaded on to the Rift. And we do see the pings coming down from Rawr Yordlez. They have been known to be a very aggressive team. Level 1, they do actually like to invade. Whether or not their team comp is necessarily the better one, they're not afraid to look for an early fight. But instead, it's looking a bit split right now. We've got Duero and Madjack in the mid lane a little bit, so it looks like they're just guarding against the invade. But I Never Fui's Fang Rui and Winter still going in here. And they might be able to catch anybody. No, Mazir does catch them out. Tilt over Peacemaker comes out, and they get a bit of damage onto I Never Fui's here. So a failed invade from Rawr Yordlez won't cost them much at this point. We'll be just fine. And with that Nunu jungle here for I Never Fui's, I do like the fact that he's going aggressive, looking to try and get a bit of jungle pressure here on to Pyria, especially since it is the Amumu. And Amumu not known to be very good at dueling early, not to mention with the Consume Smite, I Never Fui should be able to win any sort of smite fight that they do have in the jungle. The base here, just in time, Never Fui's will get to the red buff just as it spawns pretty much. And Winter 7, Fang Rui just going to start this one up here for him. And now between these two teams, Rawr Yordlez, #1 seed, has not actually lost any series here, but they did lose one game throughout the entire split, and that game was precisely to Glacial Academy. So Glacial Academy, the only team who really has had experience being able to take any games off Rawr Yordlez whatsoever. But unfortunately, they do have to be careful because, in my opinion, the only chance Glacial Academy really has of winning games in this series is either they take advantage of some sort of early game or mid game cheese or compositional advantage, or they have to pray that Rawr Yordlez makes a mistake. And you can see from their composition that Glacial Academy did drop for that mid game AoE here, and if they can pull that off, that's great. My only concern is if they're able to get out of lane here in a advantageous position to be able to take advantage of that mid game. Because normally Syndra Veigar mid lane matchup, Syndra does have a bit of an advantage, is stronger in the early levels, can look to punish and look for an easy, quick cheese kill at 6. But the problem is, this is Duero's Veigar, and he plays extremely aggressively early. We can see that he's able to match the CS very, very well, not suffering any disadvantage right now, barely even taking any poke in the early levels here. And in that top lane, Madjack versus King Tyrus. You can see Madjack already putting down some pain. King Tyrus trading back really, really well, but we do see the gank coming in right now from I Never Fui's. Is there going to be a follow-up? No, Madjack not following up, so it's just I Never Fui's applying the damage right now, and the flash still available. Tyrus going to use that one. He's fine. Pyria now looking in. Will get the bandage shots, and suddenly I Never Fui's in a bad position. He will go down. First blood going over to Pyria, but it is going to be Madjack finding a return kill, and now it's going to be jungler versus top laner. Madjack sat in the middle of a bunch of minions. He just needed one more punch. He doesn't find it. Pyria able to find himself a double kill, and forget everything I said about a weak early game for Amumu, because getting a double kill is going to go a long way towards negating a lot of that early game weakness that Amumu does struggle with. And this is great for the side of Glacial Academy. It's exactly what they need to find here, and especially in that top lane. In that top lane is actually where Rawr Yordlez had some of the best chance of sort of finding themselves a lead in terms of champion matchups here, especially since King Tyrus on the Ornn, not normally known to play particularly aggressive in lane, often does just sort of try and scale up here. But the fact that he did manage to get the 2 assists and Madjack does end up going down, that means the teleport will not be available for Madjack here. King Tyrus is down significantly in CS, but that is a position he's extremely comfortable with, should be just fine with there. And instead, that means that Madjack will lose a bit of pressure that you normally see him have in this top lane here. We'll have to see if Pyria can look to try and push his leads elsewhere as well. The only issue is he's against a Nunu. Nunu's very, very quick at farming those jungle creeps. So despite getting the kill onto I Never Fui's not going to fall behind in terms of jungle camps very much. It's just mostly the gold from the kills and the experience a little bit here. And in the bot lane, Fang Rui actually doing really well on the Aphelios for himself so far. Normally, we do expect the Caitlyn to sort of find a bit more poke advantages in that bot lane with the range. Caitlyn, known as a lane bully, does fall off in the mid game a little bit though, does need a couple of items to really come online. But Fangrui not falling behind at all in terms of CS, and that's a good sign for him. So a little bit of inversion here on expectations. And really, I'm not expecting to see a ton of action till we start seeing the ultimates come out for the junglers and the mid laners here. We do see another snowball coming in from I Never Freeze. Can he drift the snowball here? No flash available this time for King Tyrus, but he's far back enough. And again, Madjack not seeming like he's on the same page as I Never Freeze here. Content to sort of farm it up and just let I Never Freeze look for some pressure. Bot lane, the heal and flash and exhaust coming out from Rawr's bot lane, as it looks like they did manage to catch Winter 07 out. Dobby just having to use the Ignite only. That's a pretty good trade for the side of Glacial Academy, and it's a bit more of what we expect here in terms of the dynamic for this bot lane. And like I said, I'm not expecting a ton of kill pressure till they hit 6. And the bot lane, going to be the slowest lane to hit 6 here. But once they do, we can look for some really spicy engages here from Dobby 007 on the Leona, especially if they do manage to keep Winter and Fangrui fairly poked out. But it looks like they're just going to go back to base right now. And they've got a pretty penny to spend as well. About 1,400 here for Fangrui. He might potentially just pick up a BF sword right off the bat here. And as for Mazir lane, he's probably going to look to try and match the base soon as well. He doesn't want to fall too far behind because despite Braum not being considered a traditional engage champion, he actually has a lot of ways to look for those engages here. And are we seeing a roam out from Dobby 007 into the mid lane? He's going in. Event Horizon going to catch him out here. He's only level 4. He has to be careful. Is the Primordial Burst going to come out? Yes, it is. Will not find Dobby 007. Will get the flash out though. And that is going to be a big cooldown expended for Dobby 007. Will not be able to see the flash Zenith Blade engage in that bot lane for the next 5 minutes here. And one thing to note is both mid laners, recognizing the burst potential from their counterparts, have opted for the barrier defensive spell here. So no teleport, which is what we usually see from these sort of Vigars and oftentimes from the Syndras as well. So if they do base, like we see Duero doing right now, he will have to walk back to lane. But has picked up the Lost Chapter as well as an Amp Tone here. And I Never Foo is now looking to burn down this Drake. Did clear out the control ward, but there is the Scuttle here, so they will be able to see it. Again, very, very hard to steal from a Nunu, but Period does have a level advantage. He's going to go in the bandage toss. He smites early, and it is going to be I Never Freeze picking up this one here. Curse of the Sand Mummy comes across. It finds Winter, it finds I Never Freeze. They might be tanks, but they're still pretty squishy. Fangrui not able to put out the damage, and I Never Freeze looking to try and get over the wall. Can he do it? No, the flash not up in time. He goes down. That's 2 kills going the way here of Glacial Academy. And that's absolutely huge for them. King Tyrus now looking topside for a kill as well. Can he find it? The Brittle proc comes down, but the Showstopper is going to stop him for now. King Tyrus going to back out. He just needed a bit more, but that regeneration from Madjack is disgusting to watch there. So he will be safe, and that is all the ultimates expended in that top lane as well as their flashes. King Tyrus still holding on to his teleport there, has not opted to use it yet. And normally, I mean, it's considered an advantage to have that teleport, but if you don't use it when there's a team fight breaking out, there really is no meaning to holding on to that one. So we'll have to see what King Tyrus opts to do with that. Can use it to base and get back to lane at least, and that will give a bit of a teleport mismatch here in that top side. Now Glacial Academy, they don't secure that Drake, but that is the Mountain Drake, considered oftentimes the least valuable of those early Drakes to pick up here. So not the end of the road. And now mid lane, Duero getting collapsed on here. Primordial Burst coming out, does not find Ronin. A beautiful sidestep to avoid the Dark Matter, but the Event Horizon just constantly popping out. Ronin able to find it with one of those orbs there. And they get themselves another kill, and Glacial Academy are off to the races here. They are 5-1. They've got themselves 1,600 gold lead, and it is all over the place on people. They want to have it on. The carries each have a kill apiece. And the jungler Period actually doing really, really well for himself as well. And they're going to be able to turn the tides here onto I Never Freeze. He's getting collapsed on. There's 3 here. Are they going to be able to find him? A good flash gets him to safety for now. Madjack coming down. Just going to eat some honey fruit. Will be okay. And they do manage to stop the Herald take for now from the side of Glacial Academy. And it's a small win, but that's what Rawr Yordlez needs to get for now. Just small wins for now here. As for the side of Glacial Academies, their bot lane should be hitting 6 any moment right now. Dobby007, the last one here to hit 6. But they do have to be careful. Winter and Fangre already 6. Might be looking for the engage. Glacial Fissure comes across. They landed onto Mazir lane, but the traps are keeping him safe for now. The exhaust comes down. But where are the autos? They're not there, and the stun doesn't come out. Instead, they turn the tides. Winter07 was taking way too much damage from the minions as well. Fangre gonna have to burn his flash to try and get out. Will be safe, but he has to be careful. Dobby007 looking for 6. Finally has hit it. Solar Flare available. They could potentially look for the engage here. But Duero is roaming down topside. Another fight breaks out as well. The Showstopper coming across, but the Ornhorn is going to land as well. And Magic taking extremely low. They just need a bit more damage. The Flame Spitter comes out, and they do manage to pick him up. No Brittle proc needed. Now, Neverfreeze now meeting Period once again. It's not often you see an Amumu winning this fight here, but Neverfreeze does not have enough health at all. The Skirmisher Saber of the Cinderhawk is all he has. He's gonna go down. Period picking that one up. He's now 3-0-3 here. Duero just trying to survive. Ace in the hole comes out. They find another one. Mazir lane also on a killing spree. 3-0-2, and everything just going Glacial's way right now. And this is not a situation we normally see Rawr Yordlez in. When was the last time we've seen them in this big a disadvantage here? They're down 8 kills, and they're normally a very, very proactive team looking for action. Topside, Magic and King Tyroos dueling once again, but King Tyroos doing decently for himself in that trade, and Magic was taking a bit of minion damage as well, but we do see now the pain train coming up. Dobby007 is there. The Solar Flare does not land, neither does the Bandit shots, but they don't care, they don't need it. That's 4 people, all of them just auto attack. They have enough damage, and that's going to be Magic going down as well. And this time, Glacial Academy want to make sure they secure the Herald, so they're coming in numbers with force here. And that's actually great timing on the roam from Dobby007. The entirety of the bot lane all just went back to base. Mazir just coming back right now will be able to catch this wave that was crashing towards his turret. Is down a bit of CS, but is up a ton of kills. And we did see Winter07 and Fangre matching that, meaning that there was no one to put pressure onto Mazir lane, who's currently solo in lane. Dobby007 now roaming, trying to get back down to that bot lane, but is instead going to hover around the mid lane. Does not have any Moby boots yet, so it's a very, very slow support roaming down here. And Mazir lane just going to clear out that ward in the Dragon Pit before he goes once more back to lane. And that was great timing. Period rotating down as well, but they don't see the ward here from the side of Rawr Yordlez. So Yordlez knows this is being done, but looks like there's no call for it. Nobody wants to go for this one, and that's going to be Glacial Academy picking themselves up a Drake as well. And it's going to be that cooldown reduction Cloud Drake here, which is going to be great for them as a composition that revolves around their sort of AoE team fight ultimates here. That 10% cooldown reduction means they're going to be able to spam those ultimates out a lot more, which is great for them. Then we do see King Tyroos here suddenly in that bot side. Solar Flare comes across, will not catch anybody. A good hop there from Winter07, and they're going to push this one with 4 and Herald here. Bit of an interesting choice, and they're leaving Duero to continue just split pushing, or not split pushing, just to continue pushing in that mid lane here. He's gonna start coming down for now, but Dobby007 looking for the engage. We do see the Curse of the Sand Mummy coming down, but a beautiful Glacial Fissure here to buy them time. It won't be enough. Mazir manages to pick up a kill. King Tyroos as well. Duero has arrived, but he has to be extremely careful. Primordial Burst going to be able to get one, but he's going to trade his life back over. Mazir picks up yet another one, and they do manage to get the first turret in that bot lane as well. Shelly just pounding away, and they should be able to escort Shelly into the inner turret here. They won't be able to take it down, but you saw how much damage it did to that outer turret already. It'll do the same, if not more, to that inner turret as well. And Mazir lane, ladies and gentlemen, I did say in the beginning, if Glacial Academy does win this, it's going to be around that bot and mid lane here, and Mazir just completely popping off right now. 5-0-3 on this Caitlyn. And though Caitlyn does have a bit of a dip in the mid game, so does Aphelios. And right now, Mazir lane is on track to just accelerate completely past that dip. Already having the Stormrazor completed, sitting with another 2,200 gold in pocket as well here. And you look over to Fangre, he's got the components for the IE, just needs to complete it, but no completed item yet for himself. So the damage is going to be a bit longer before it comes out here for Rawr Yordlez. Despite that 10 kill lead right now for Glacial Academy, their gold lead does not necessarily reflect that. They're up about 4,000, which is a sizable amount here at 15 minutes, but by no means insurmountable. And despite being down right now, they do have the better late game skill and composition with a Veigar, with an Aphelios. A good flash from Duero to avoid the flash bandage toss from Perrier. Flash is traded here, but that is going to keep Duero alive for now. If that had landed, he might have gone down. But he has to be careful. We do see, unfortunately for him, Dobby007 coming in from the back flank here. They're looking to catch him. Event Horizon going to buy some time, and still no boots for Dobby yet. He's opting for that defensive stat. He's built a very, very early shield here. Not Relic Shield, pardon me. The Locket of the Iron Solari to give himself that shield. But no boots means a more difficult engage from Dobby007. An interesting choice here from him, and not one that I'm sure I like all that much, since it is going to affect his ability to engage. We'll be able to keep Mazir lane a bit safer though, so there is that in terms of pluses. And topside, Ronin trading in with Majak, not doing quite as well as King Tyrus did, but somewhat to be expected, as Ronin is a burst mage here, and Majak on that set has a lot of regeneration, which kind of negates part of that burst ability there. You have to 100 to 0, the poke will not stick. We do see now the rotation as Mazir lane hitting into that mid lane. The Dark Matter gonna land, but they didn't actually trade even for now. Perrier hovering in that Raptor Pit, looking to see if we can find and engage. The Solar Flare unfortunately not able to land, and now Majak sat in the middle of that. We do see the Curse of the Sand Mummy coming across. They do find themselves a kill. Dobby with a beautiful locket to keep himself alive does negate the bulk of that Primordial Burst, and he's going to be just fine. And we're now seeing a 4v4 breaking out in the mid lane here. King Tyrus sounding the Orn Horn. Can they find the kill? Not before Perrier goes down, and Neverfreeze with a good flash. The Unbreakable going to keep him safe. Duero's actually out of mana, has to be careful right now, but it's Ronin having to flash and barrier away to keep himself alive. He's extremely, extremely low, and that last minute Infernum just shy of finding a kill here. Well played from Yordlez. They started that one out 4v4. Well, really 4v4 and a half, because Dobby was still around, though he couldn't really contribute anything. They do, however, lose another turret in that bot lane, but they do finally answer back with a turret of their own. It's going to be that mid lane outer turret here. And at the end of that, they actually come out a little bit ahead here, as they managed to just barely find a 300 gold advantage somewhere in the midst of that fight. Now the Inferno is coming up. It's going to be 5 seconds here. And Glacial Academy a bit slower to come back out. They had to go back to base. So it is going to be Yordlez with a slight advantage in numbers for a short amount of time. But we do see now they haven't started up. And that means all of Glacial Academy should be here shortly. The big AoE ultimates are not all available. Only the Solar Flare for Dobby here. Now Perrier getting caught out. The Event Horizon finds him. He's going to get burst immediately, pardon me here. Primordial Burst not even used, and that will be available to nail one of the squishies potentially here. You can see how quickly that Inferno is getting melted here. Fangray with those chakrams just cutting his way through that there, and that's going to be Inferno going the way of Yordlez. And in the mid game, surprisingly, it's Yordlez firing back right now. With the team compositions, you might expect Glacial Academy to be the ones looking for these initiates, but Duero on this Veigar with his Event Horizons has been absolutely pivotal in these team fights. He's just been able to zone people off, find catches, and just punish people such as Perrier or Dobby, who have to step out to look for the engage here for the side of Glacial Academy. And the concern is, again, they scale better, because Veigar infinite skilling, and while Caitlyn does skill amazingly well, so does Aphelios. And so between the skillings here, Yordlez have a chance of coming back into this game as it drags longer and longer, and that means it's going to be on Glacial Academy to look for good initiates there, find catches. Instead, the Glacial Fissure finds Ronin, and he's the one getting caught out here. The exhaust comes out on him as well, but a good heal from Mazir lane. Gonna keep him quite healthy and topped up. Instead, they find themselves a turret, and unfortunately for Mazir, he's gonna have to flash away as the 90 caliber net gets stopped by the Event Horizon, though the beautiful Orn Horns comes across. They find 3 here in the mid lane, and I Neverfreeze just never had a chance. Duero and Winter already low from that poke, and that's 3 dead. We said Glacial Academy needed to find the proactive plays. Well, they did, and they net themselves 3 kills and 2 turrets for their pains, and they could just look to go towards the Baron here, which just spawned. They do have enough damage. Are they going to do that? No, instead it looks like they're chasing Mad Jack and looking to push the mid lane a little bit here. I Never Freeze will be coming up in about 5 seconds. Duero also almost up at this point, and if they do opt now to go for Baron, they do have to be careful because the big team fight ultimates are down. The Call of the Forge God, the Curse of the Sad Mummy, and the Solar Flare all not available in the short term here. And so it looks like Glacial Academy just going to back off, going to reset a little bit. They do have a bit of gold to spend here in their pockets, and we might, I don't think we're going to see any major items necessarily completed, but it will still help a bit for the next fight, and every edge you can find will be good for them. And again, that's starting a 5k gold lead right now for Glacial Academy. It looks like they were losing their gold lead, but they do manage to find it back. And in that top lane, despite being down about 30 CS, King Tyrus is actually a little bit of hit, pretty much dead even with Mad Jack there in the jungle period with a 1,000 gold lead, which is really nice for that Mumu. And in the mid lane, again, another 1,000 gold lead here for Ronin, who's 2-0-6 right now. But it's the bot lane, which is absolutely shocking because that is a 2,000 gold lead for Mazir lane. And Fangray has been actually a pivotal force here for Rawr throughout their season. So it's amazing that Mazir has been able to find such a solid lead for himself here. Now Solar Flare coming across onto Winter and Never Freeze. They do manage to stop the advance for now, period. Now going in, he does manage to land a bandage toss onto Fangray, but no Curse of the Sad Mummy to follow up means that Fangray able to free fire, and it is going to be Dobby 007 instead going down in the midst of that. He does not have himself a lot of armor yet. Now Call of the Forge God comes in as King Tyrus finds the back line. He just walks in, but he walked into the middle of 5. And there's no one there on the side of Glacial Academy just yet. Ronin not there, and there's nowhere for Mazir to run. He gets nailed by the snowball and the snowballs, and he just could not escape the slow, the knockup. He's dead. And suddenly we've got a reversal here as we see 3 dead on the side of Glacial Academy, and their inner mid lane turret going down this time. And unlike before, the death timers are a little bit longer, and it does look like Rawr is gonna go for the Baron potentially here. I don't know if Rawr is aware that the teleport was not used from King Tyrus, because he did manage to find an amazing flank position, and it looks like Rawr is not gonna go for the Baron after all here. They're gonna back out instead and look to reset. And normally it's not a great idea not to push your advantages, but if you're Rawr, you're fine. You skill. You can sit back and farm up here. And despite finding those 3 kills, they're still down 9 kills here. They are very far behind in kills. Have managed to close the gold lead quite a bit though. They're now within spitting distance here. Only about 800 gold difference between the 2 teams. So not really huge. And it is reflected a lot in the items right now, as we do see fairly even, except again still that ADC difference a little bit here with Mazir lane having completed the Infinity Edge as well as the Storm Razors compared to Fangray with the 1 completed item and the components for that Runan's Hurricane. And now both teams setting up for this Drake. It could be a big one here. It's really down to Glacial Academy to look to pull the trigger, but instead it's the Glacial Fissure coming across, and they do catch Dobby 007 on the side. Solar Flare comes across, doesn't find much. Duero instantly popping period there, but he's put the lockdown. That's his job done. Showstopper coming across. They managed to stop King Tyrus on the backline. He's dead. Fangray still outputting the damage. Mazir lane and Ronin left alive for now, but they can't seem to kill I Never Freeze. He's so tanky, and the consume giving him so much health in the jungle right now. Mazir lane potentially getting caught out. He takes the blast cone. He's safe, but Ronin will go down. It's only Mazir lane left alive, and unfortunately throughout that fight he spent more time running than doing damage, and that is going to be Glacial Fissure losing 4 members. That's a 4-0 right now, and Rawr is just absolutely dominating that fight. And I mean, I know that the gold was close, I know the items were close, but I was not expecting the fight to be quite that one-sided. I think a lot of that's coming from the hesitation here of Glacial Academy. They're not pulling the trigger. They are letting Rawr look for the initiate. And we mentioned it once in lane that Braum, not known as necessarily an engaged champion per se, his entire kit is built around peeling and protecting his target. But that Glacial Fissure is such a versatile tool, and Winter has been on point using the Glacial Fissure to initiate here for his team, and he's 0-4-10, playing the perfect support right now with a 46 vision score, highest in the game. Has been the one to make a lot of these big initiates in the team fights. And with that, I mean, that's 2 consecutive team fights that Glacial Academy has lost here, and that's going to be very worrying for them when they are the mid-game composition who do have all the team fight tools at their disposal and who also don't skill as well. Now Madjack in that top lane, hunting down for Ronin, able to do a lot of damage, but he has to be careful. He's getting complete collapse on here. The Solar Flare does not land, and that means Madjack somehow able to find a kill and find an escape here, as now Winter07 is here to back him up. They get the damage down, Period getting stunned up as well. The Glacial Fissure is available. He lands it across 2, and that's going to be Mazir just getting popped immediately there. And Dobby 007 soon to follow. He is a Leona. He goes in. He does not come out. And okay, I know I sound like broken record at this point, but still no boots for Dobby 007 on the Leona. I understand that you go in, you don't necessarily come out, but without those boots, it's so hard to find those good Zenith Blades, and it's not paying dividends here. The defensive items are not good enough and are not keeping him alive here. And we do see Period looking for the steal, but there is Madjack at the side to dissuade him for now. The Ornhorn coming out. Where's it going to go? It's going to go out onto Madjack, but that's just buying time, and they don't care. There's damage on the Baron. Duero instantly bursting Period there. No ultimate available, nor was it needed, and they do manage to find King Tyrus as well. With the sheer amount of sustain coming out from Nunu in the jungle, I never thought he's able to tank that one up alone with Fangre. They managed to shred down the Baron, and suddenly Rawr even in kills, up about 5,000 plus gold, and they've got Baron looking like the dominant team here after an amazing start from Glacial Academy. And I mean, that's a lot of team-wide boosts from Dobby 007's build here, but unfortunately, it's just not enough. We didn't see what happened. Duero, looking like he might have stepped on a trap, gets completely popped by Mazir lane. You can't underestimate the burst coming out from that IE Storm Razor Caitlyn here. And that was a shutdown as well, going over to Mazir lane as if he needed any more gold. 450 gold bounty on Duero there, who was doing quite well for himself on this Veigar. That still leaves 4 Baron buffs up and available and pushing here into the side of Glacial Academy. Madjack going 6-4-6 on this set is becoming quite an issue here for Glacial Academy. No one person can find him. The bandage toss from Period just barely missing, and a good flash from Madjack will keep him safe for now. That means a lot of damage onto this mid lane turret here. Fangre going in with those chakrams. You can see how quickly he whips them out and how quickly the health on that turret goes down. Madjack able to dodge out the Zenith Blade from Dobby 007 again here. And the Solar Flare once more not getting the stun. The slow does land though, and that will be enough. We do see the Showstopper coming out, the Face Breaker as well, but the shield will do nothing in the face of a 9-2-5 Caitlyn as Mazir lane manages to pop him down. But they're trading kills for objectives as Rawr playing the macro game, find themselves yet another turret here. It's going to be the bot lane inner turret going down as well. And where did everything just start going oh so wrong for Glacial Academy here? They were up about 10 kills. They were in such a commanding lead, and they just could not seem to find a way to close it. I mean, in the first place, on paper, Glacial Academy already has the weaker lanes, has the less mechanically skilled team, but they managed to sort of overcome that in the early game here, and it looks like now, rather than mechanics, the issue is just decisiveness, as Glacial Academy kind of squandered their early lead. And as we approach the 30-minute mark here, Duero really coming online with that Glacial Augment. Veigar here has completed the GLP, has both Zhonya's as well as a Banshee's Veil here. Does not need the Spooky Ghost. Now Dobby 007 potentially getting caught out once again. No boots means no running. He sat in the middle. The Absolute Zero comes out. Doesn't do a lot of damage. And Dobby's still somehow alive here because where is Fangre? He's being forced out the side. Duero is finally going to use that Primordial Burst to find the kill. Ace in the hole coming out, landing onto Fangre, but there's no follow-up. King Tyrus the only one hunting him, and that leaves everybody else exposed. Duero able to find yet another kill here on to Period. He finally goes down because Mazir lane is able to put out the damage here, and Fangre just getting zoned out. Can they find King Tyrus here? Maybe they can. One more auto needed for the stun. Can they get it? The Q coming off cooldown. They do land it here, but Fangre is so far away, finally in range. Will be able to take him down. The Ornhorn comes across, but there is no second part to it because King Tyrus already dead. And now it is going to be Winter and Fangre pushing in. Mad Jack opting to just push in that top side here, and that's all the inhibitors, or not all of them, sorry, the top and mid lane inhibitors down. Solar Flare finally lands a great stun, and it converts into a kill immediately here. They pick up both Winter and Fangre, and now Mad Jack, left alone, will finally go down once again there. He's now 6, 6, and 6 here for Mad Jack. And the big boss himself with the Devil's Mark here has been an absolute issue, but he's not quite as strong as he thought he was. Despite the Death Dance giving him some tankiness there, he still will go down if he can't reach Mazir lane, and Mazir lane is left to free fire. Does have the Molten Edge upgrade completed on the Infinity Edge, as well as the Rapid Fire Cannon now, but unfortunately for him, Fangre starting to match him in terms of these completed items here. Has the Phantom Dancer, Infinity Edge, and Runan's Hurricane completed already. And really, if Philo starts to come online after 2 items, anything after is just icing on the cake. And they managed to pick up the Infernal Soul for themselves as well. So if you thought Duero's burst wasn't big enough before, well, you're in for a surprise. And now Dobby 007 going in. The Event Horizon zones out Ronin and King Tyrus, though. So that's going to be Dobby left alone. Unleash Power comes across, but bulk of it does not land as Duero goes golden here. I Never Freeze picking up onto Dobby 007. And the cooldowns now are resetting here for Duero. He can look for a second round. A beautiful Unbreakable to stop the Ornhorn here. And Perry getting melted for now. Mad Jack into the backline. He's found Ronin. He's found Mazir lane. And he's killed Ronin flat out here. And that is going to be unfortunate for King Tyrus. He survived for quite a long time in that fight, but just no damage again. Mazir spending most of his time in these team fights running rather than putting out damage. And he's the only one left alive. I Never Freeze just diving in right now with the snowball, with the damage. They get an ace. That's going to be I Never Freeze picking up this one. And it's going to be Rawr Yordlez coming back from a monumental deficit here to be able to pick up their first win in this best of 5, the semi-finals here. Well played from the side of Rawr Yordlez. And I think just leaving Veigar up against Duero is always a threat. I don't think we've seen him have a single bad game on the Veigar. This is probably one of his worst games on it, the split. And he still went 9, 6, and 7 on the Veigar right now. He's just absolutely a monster. I think you ban it unless you've got a real solid plan or counter for the Veigar right now. And Mad Jack in this top lane here. That's kind of what we feared in the top side. King Tyrus did manage to get quite a nice advantage in lane with Pyria's help initially, but just Mad Jack picking these sort of carry champions will eventually become that split push threat. And if Glacial Academy refuse to pull the trigger here on the mid-game team fights, then they cannot let Mad Jack just keep getting these sort of split push champions because they have no answer to it. And going into game 2, I think on the side of Glacial Academy, their draft was solid. It was on point. And you saw the strength of it in the early game and the beginning of the mid game. It's more an issue of needing to be more decisive and look for these fights. If there has been sort of an issue for Glacial Academy, it's their unwillingness to pick bad fights here. Sometimes you just need to go. And also, I'd like to see Dobby 007 pick up a pair of boots next time a little bit earlier. Considering the amount of time spent just roaming around, not having those Moby boots, I think really hurt him and had a huge opportunity cost lost in terms of him taking so long to get between lanes. And for the side of Rawr Yordlez, as they go into game 2, sure, they won game 1 here, but they could tighten up the early game a little bit. They did give over a lot of things and maybe ban out the Caitlyn from Mazir lane here, because that Caitlyn is looking really strong for him. He ended the game despite losing 10, 3, and 8 here on that Caitlyn. Was the highest damage on his team, just barely less damage than Mad Jack here, about 600 less damage, which is next to negligible in the grand scheme of a game. So we'll have to see what both teams choose to adapt to in game 2 here. I am expecting changes from both teams. And with that, we are going to head into an intermission break while we set up for game 2. So stick around, don't change that channel, and we'll see you very soon.